The best way to get better at programming is to practice. And in previous examples, we looked at reading files and we've looked at writing files, but we've not looked at doing both in the same application. So in this application, we're going to do just that. We're going to both read and write to files. As always, this file is available for download using a link provided below in the description. We'll give you a couple seconds so you can download it, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so let's get started. Here I have my initial file. Notice that I have a couple of variables already created. We have an input and we have an output. All right, so up in my instructions, I have the name of the files I'm going to create, Fahrenheit.txt and Celsius.txt. So for my input file, I'm going to specify Fahrenheit.txt, and then I'm going to come over here and copy that for my output file. So now this has opened both my input and my output files. I need to read through the entire Fahrenheit file. I don't know how big it is. It could be one value, it could be 1,000 values. So I'm going to use my while loop, while not input.eof. So while I've not reached the end of my file, let me go ahead and read in. So I'll say input, and then I'll point to far. Notice that this is an integer. Now, if I want to make these as doubles, we'll show you how to make that change in just a second. But I have input, and I'm putting that into far. I then need to convert this into Celsius. You might say, okay, well, how do I do that? Well, I provide that formula up above. So I'm going to say CEL equals 5 divided by 9, and say 0.0. This is because if I say 5 divided by 9, it's integer division. So one of the two of these has to be a floating point, or a double in this case, in order for it to be a little bit more accurate. This is going to be times Fahrenheit minus 32. Then we'll say output Celsius, and we'll specify it in line. That's all we have to do. It's quite simple. Now all we need to do is close our file. So I'm going to say output close and input close. I'm going to run this. Notice there's no output to the screen, and that's okay. Select the Celsius.txt file. Notice that we have all our Celsius values stored here. However, notice that they're all integer values. What's the odds that they wouldn't have any decimal places? Well, the answer is none. And it's simply because we're both reading in Fahrenheit and exporting Celsius as integers. So if I want to make this change, all I have to do is say double. And then I'm going to change Celsius also to double. Now I have two double values. If I go and run this one more time, notice it once again, it runs, no errors or anything like that. But I come over here to Celsius, and notice that now I have a lot of decimal values. So this is much more accurate compared to just losing whatever that decimal place would have been. So now I feel a little bit more confident with this, which is good. And all I had to do was just change my data type. C++ handled the rest of that information for me. So that's how you're going to go and work with both input and output of files in the same application. Very simple to do. If this example helped you, please consider giving it a like and look at the rest of the series to learn how to get better at programming in C and C++.